Hi everyone, Simon here from Ninjodo. We are here today with Aaron Whitnish, who over the last 7 years has built multiple businesses. Today we're going to be looking at the top 10 questions small business owners are facing. And why is Aaron the guy that's going to be able to tell us this? Well, for the last 7 years, all he has done is focused on training and bringing products to market for himself and his clients. Now, what he's most recently launched is the Entrepreneurs School, which combines formal education with real life practical business skills. So, Aaron, what is the most favorite thing about what you do?
So the main thing for me is because we work with so many different businesses, is the challenge of taking different products and services to the marketplace and actually getting them in front of the person that wants to buy them and spend money with the business.
Right. Love it. I love it. Absolutely. The challenge, and I think everyone's there doing the same thing with their own what is the itch that they're trying to scratch, problem they're trying to solve and bring it to market.
Yeah, exactly. And like every business is different. That's why it's so exciting. We've got everything from product to services to trade, and just the challenge with each different product or service or trade to find the consumers and get it out there is what excites me and gets me up early in the morning.
Absolutely. And whilst each product or trade has a slightly different part to it, they all come down to some core fundamentals in business, which is common for everybody. And that's really the parts where you excel and help these people, right?
Spot on. So the processes that we use are the same across the board. So we've found that there's some key things that if every business owner implements them, no matter what they're selling, they get much different result to probably 96% of the marketplace if they focus on these subtle shifts.
Yep. All right, so with that, let's jump into the top 10 questions. And number one, what is the biggest challenge you see business owners facing in today's marketplace?
The biggest challenge is obscurity. It's simply how do I get known? How do I get picked into the forefront of my consumer's mind when they're going to make a purchasing decision about my product or service? And every company I speak to, the challenge is obscurity, which is I'd probably describe it as marketing. How do I get out there? How do I get found? How do I dominate my consumer's thinking space? And then the other thing that couples with that is cash flow, just not having enough consistent cash flow coming into the bank accounts to, I guess, scale and grow with metrics. It's always up and down. They're the main challenges that I see with most small businesses that we work with.
Yep. And do you find that people often get sidetracked from those two things being the real problem? They can get caught up in the day-to-day and the enormous task list of things that have to get done, but perhaps are not seeing the anchored priority over here?
Oh, exactly. Well, the thing is, getting out of obscurity means that you're going to have to get attention. And when you get attention, sometimes you're going to get criticism. So people avoid that with every inch of their body because we don't like to get criticized. We don't like people to tell us things we don't like to hear. So that's why most owners retreat or defer from going out there and getting attention for their business because they're afraid that they might get that feedback or someone might say something that they don't want to hear.
Right. Very good point. Very good point. All right. Question number two. What is the best way to market a small business?
So right now, just based on the you got to look at if you're going to use marketing strategy, what's going to get me the fastest result. And with all the businesses that we look at, generally Facebook is the fastest path to getting a result with marketing because it has all the information and profiles about your target customers. So you can literally write down a profile of your target customer, plug that information into Facebook's advertising platform and show an ad to them in as little as 10 minutes and control your spend at the same time. So Facebook is hands down the best strategy at the moment. The problem is most small business owners just don't know how to utilize it properly to
Hmm.
actually get prospects and sales in their business.
Yeah, because a lot of people would have heard from the Google search and the AdWords, but not necessarily Facebook, and they are two very different. Uh, Whilst they might be the same person, they're at different parts of the buying cycle, and that's, I guess, where a lot of people are getting tripped up.
Exactly. I mean, when you target with AdWords, definitely a strategy to look at. You just don't have the ability to plug in as much information about your target buyers as you do with Facebook.
Hmm.
And also, AdWords has been around a lot longer. So there's a lot more competition from bigger businesses, which means you generally, in my experience, have to spend a lot more if you go down the AdWords path to a less targeted audience.
Hmm. And so with Facebook, people can really get laser focused, targeted on the people they're trying to bring in, and then they can test that very cheaply to see if their idea is going to stick or whether they're on the right track or not.
Exactly, and you want feedback immediately. You don't want it to take 3 to 6 months to find out if you're reaching the right or wrong audience. You want that feedback within 24, 48 hours, and Facebook gives you the ability to be able to get that information that quickly.
Fantastic. Man, the tools we've got available now that we didn't have 5 years ago. All right, so question number 3. Why do 96% of small businesses fail inside 10 years?
The main reason is that what they spend money on is not the right thing that I see. Most people start a business and they have very little knowledge on current marketing strategy. So what they'll do is they'll spend money on processes like leaflets, business cards, websites, not actually knowing how that's actually going to get revenue into their business, how they can measure it. So what happens is they'll spend all this money up front usually, not get pre-sales in the business, which would allow the business to have some money to actually utilize it to grow. So the business runs out of money very quickly and hence it fails. And 50% fail within the first 12 months. So it's simply not getting the marketplace to fund the business with pre-sales, but by spending on all these things that they think they need in place before they get a customer. And the outdated strategies and processes they use is what's killing them. They need to get current strategy, leverage off technology to avoid spending all this money that kills them and hurts their cash flow from day one.
Wow. So it's really people still stuck in the this is what I should do, not what I'm supposed to be doing now.
Exactly. And it's because if you look at most of the business education out there, if you go and get advice on marketing, sales, and all that sort of thing, it becomes outdated within 12 months. So if you're listening to something that was current 12 months ago, it might not be working today. And if you're utilizing that strategy, there's people out there using what's working right now that are just going to shred you to pieces.
Wow. Okay. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty powerful. You
Yeah.
mentioned there pre-sales. How touch on that a little bit more. How can people go out to the market and actually pre-sell the product that may not even exist?
Exactly. So what most people think they need is to have everything in place, the program, the product, their software. What you need is the result of the product or service. When you have the result of the product or service, you can pre-sell, but all you need to do is tell the consumer that that's what you're doing. Say, hey, we're releasing this product, this service, it's going to produce X result. We're not launching till 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is. We're getting some early bird customers on board. Comment below if you're interested in being one of our first customers. And you could just put that post out on Facebook. You could run a very low budget campaign to see what sort of traction that gets. And that way, you're getting the consumer, the person that's going to spend money with you, to tell you whether or not the idea is going to work versus you just assuming and then spending thousands of dollars on developing a product or service, not knowing if the consumer is going to buy into it when you go to the marketplace.
Right. And even if you're not actually making sales, at least you're getting the answer from the market directly.
Yeah, exactly. So most businesses, you do have the flexibility to pre-sell, but not all businesses. And most people overlook the most basic thing, which is just to ask the people that you know, hey, would you be interested in buying this or trialing this product or service? Because there will be people in your immediate network that would like to do that. It might be a small percentage, but if you don't ask, you'll never find out if that's the case.
Yep. Common problem, people not asking for help.
Exactly, exactly.
All right, number 4. What should be the number one focus of a business owner?
It's revenue. So the challenge is when people start a business, essentially, and you would have seen this yourselves, people buy and create themselves a job. And if you're the CEO of a company, it doesn't matter if you're a one-person operation, you must be focused on revenue and spend 80% of your time on revenue-producing activities because revenue is the lifeblood of a company. It's what pays yourself, it's what pays the overhead, it's what can hire staff, and it's also what pays the taxes in the economy. So if you're focusing on activity that isn't going to grow the business and put money in the bank accounts, what are you actually doing? You're just procrastinating and retreating from what's important to keep your business in business.
And why do you think that is? Why do people get so caught up in all the things they think they have to do and not going out and doing the one thing that they really should do?
Because the challenge is there's just so much information and strategy out there. It's so easy to go out there and hear 80 or 90 things that you need to do. And when that's thrown down your face when you're starting a business, you're going to get overwhelmed and you're going to go to what feels the safest. In your head, you go, hang on, that's a safe strategy. I can do that. It makes me feel busy. When I feel busy, I feel like I'm making progress. But no one tells you that, hey, what you need to do right now is to say, how can I get my next customer? And if people just made that shift in their thinking and focus, it would turn that failure statistic around rapidly.
Yep. Definitely confusing busy work with actual work that's going to produce results.
Exactly. And that can be hard to decipher when you're new to business. What is
Mm.
a revenue producing activity? And just to name a few, one would be obviously sales, one would be upselling your existing customers, another would be asking customers your network for referrals. So there's three things right there that are revenue producing activities for your business that you can start to put down on your list of things you need to do when you're in the office.
So there's three things that people could print off, have on their wall, and just if they feel that they're not getting anywhere, to look at that wall and go, okay, which one of those could I do right now?
Exactly. And it can be simple as asking. Most people don't have a referral system in place for their business with their existing customers. Just by implementing a solid referral system can change the way your business grows exponentially, overnight. And I've seen that most businesses just don't go to their existing customers, add the value, and go, hey, do you have any friends or do you know anyone that would benefit from this product that you're enjoying? And the answer is usually yes.
Now, I hear that one quite a bit actually, having a good referral system in place, but perhaps people just getting started or are not new to the concept. What does that look like? What's the first step that they should be taking?
When you're new, it's simply just asking, can you send me the contact details of someone that you think might be interested in this product and pre-frame them, then I'm going to get in touch with them. It's that simple. You don't need to have an elaborate process when you're starting out. In fact, I usually advise against it because that will take your time and money away from the business. So it's, hey, so Simon, you're obviously enjoying the program and the product. You have three friends that you could put me in touch with that might also benefit from this product. If you could just send me their contact details, let them know I'm going to get in touch and we'll take it from there. That's as simple as it is in the beginning.
That's great, and that's really unintrusive. And obviously, someone's not going to give you the names if they're not enjoying the service, but that also gives you feedback to improve your service to fix the relationship there. And then by having the referrals done in that way, as opposed to trying to acquire a new customer, you've got that introduction of, Aaron told me to get in touch with you because he thinks that you could really value from the service that we're doing with him. Open to have a chat, and that's a really easy conversation to get going, isn't it?
And it's also a much easier sell because you've already got the trust of that person because the other person has introduced you, and it's less work in the sales process to try and win someone's trust from scratch. It's not an easy process. There's a lot of
No.
skepticism in today's marketplace, but this is the fastest path to getting a low resistance sale in your business without actually spending on marketing and doing all those things that can take time and money in a business.
Absolutely. All right, number five. What does the future of business look like?
Here's the thing: there's new technology coming out now. There's a new app called Periscope, and there's also a competing app called Meerkat. And the way I see the marketplace shifting is it's going to come down to who can be the most transparent and who can be the most rawest. Because with technology like this, there's no hiding. You hit a button on your phone and you're streaming your product yourself to the world live in real time. There's no scripts, there's no editing, there's no green screens. So whoever comes across as the most attractive person in the marketplace, the most authentic and real, is going to get the business because no longer can we hide behind the mirrors and the smoke screens. We have to know our stuff. We have to be able to deal with customers live in real time. And this new technology, I think, is going to change the way and the future of business.
So Periscope, and what was the other one?
Meerkat, which is the competing. So Periscope's been bought out by Twitter,
Hmm.
so they've got an early jump. I don't know if, say, Facebook might make a move on Meerkat and try and purchase that, but all I know is you want to be adopting this technology straight away, so you can broadcast and educate the marketplace directly from your smartphone anytime you hit a button. We're hitting something like 700 international people without even an audience, without even a following every single day, just by hitting a button on our phone and starting to add value to the marketplace. They jump on, they engage with us, they ask us questions, and as a result, we're starting to get a lot of attention internationally for our business that we weren't getting before this tool came along.
Wow. Okay, so not to be a distraction for people who should be doing other things first, but we might put some links to that in the article that people can go on and have a read.
Exactly. Periscope is something you probably want to look at adopting if you're already up and running. If you're new to business and you're finding your feet, you don't want to. You just want to pick one or two things to do with your time and do it really well, versus trying to do a million different marketing strategies, because then you won't get any results across all your strategies. Dominate one, get a big result in one strategy.
And that's really the thing. I mean, people, they get so many there are 100 different ways you can market your business. And if you don't get one down pat, you just start trying them all, but you don't actually see the result, you can fall into the trap of saying, oh, that method doesn't work. When really, if you had have mastered the skill, spent some more time, learnt some more things about it, you would have had that skill for life.
Yeah, exactly. Just referring back to Facebook that we discussed earlier, what I see most people do is they'll spend $20, $30 and go, oh, it doesn't work. In reality, you have to spend a lot more than that. And it might not be necessarily the advertising that's not working. It could be your website that's not working.
Mm.
So people just don't know what to look for to actually measure, is this working? Is my marketing working? Or where do I need to fix it to make it better? And people just don't give it enough time and they don't change their approach enough to get the result. And that's that simple.
Absolutely. And then that's where it really comes into having someone that you can go to get that kind of advice. Am I doing this right? Am I looking in the right spot? So going down the path of trying to start finding people that you can refer to that are specialists at what they do and then stick at it all the way through until you nail it.
Exactly. No point trying to work it out for yourself. It's very expensive. So
Mm.
if you don't know how to do something, pay someone to learn it. It's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of money. And that's why people come and pay us, because they don't have to work it out for themselves. We show them how to do it so they get a much faster result. And that's, ideally going to keep you in the game, because if you try and work it out for yourself, you're not going to generate revenue. You're going to get overwhelmed and you're just going to be out of the game very quickly. And that's what happens to most businesses.
Awesome segue into the next question. What have been your biggest mistakes as a business owner?
For me, it was building first. So when I first started businesses, I did it the wrong way around. I started spending money. I bought the business cards. I paid for websites, not knowing what a website needed to actually generate business. I spent 6 months getting things in place, spending my money, building something first before I actually knew whether the marketplace wanted it. And then one of my first businesses, when I did finally go to the marketplace, I found out the hard way that what I was selling, the value of my offer didn't exceed price. So very few people were interested in doing business with me. So I did that for in my first 18 months in business, and it was very expensive, but also invaluable at the same time, because then I realized, hey, wait, if I did it that way, if I did it the opposite way to that, then I'd get a much different result. So that was my biggest mistake, and I'm glad that I made it at a very young age.
Very fortunate. A lot of people can be going on for, they can be selling something that makes a lot of cash flow and they can get distracted that they perhaps aren't growing or aren't making profit because they see money in the bank, but not realizing that they are making a lot of mistakes along the way. And how long can it take before a lesson actually blows up in your face and tries to really teach you?
Yeah, exactly. And the problem is the lessons in business are usually financial lessons.
Hmm.
So they hurt the bottom line. And if you put your house on the line or equity in your house to start the business, then it can often be a very, very painful financial problem that you create for yourself by doing it the wrong way.
Hmm. All right. Question number 7. How can you free up time as a business owner when there's just so much stuff to do? How can you really start to free some time up, relax, and be able to focus on things properly?
The first thing you need to do is identify what are you an expert at, because where you're going to get the most return on your time is by doing the tasks that you specialize in. Because with things like VAs in the Philippines, with technology now, we can easily outsource activity to someone else for $5, $6 an hour, and free up our time to do what we're good at. Because if your time's worth $100 an hour as a business owner, why would you spend an hour on a task that you can outsource for $6 to someone else that you're not a genius at? So just pick the couple of things that you're very, very good at that's going to grow your business the fastest, and spend 80, 90% of your time on that, and outsource the rest for $5, $6, $7 an hour using things like Easy VA and outsourcing services. Because why would you do it yourself? It's a terrible use of your time.
Absolutely. And I mean, for people who have not outsourced before, haven't really come across the concept or perhaps the platforms that are available, what are some of the more common things that people might outsource just to get going, get traction, and what's perhaps even a good first step to dip your toe in the water to outsourcing?
So things like administration, bookkeeping, website design, things like that. You don't want to. I see even my clients. I'm like, just spend the couple of $1,000 once you've pre-sold. So don't do it straight away to get the website done. A lot of them still try and build the websites themselves, but they don't know how to get a website to convert business. And if you're not an expert in that area, why would you do it? You should be focusing on delivering the product to the consumer that wants it and the fulfillment of that product. So the main things would be the administration things, You don't want to be getting hit with inbound calls all day long. So a tool like Office HQ, CRM software like ninjodo, and these are the sort of things that you have in place from day one, so you're not spending your time in Excel spreadsheets, shifting through emails all day, not knowing where the priority people to contact are. These are the things you set up from day one, and any activity that you know you shouldn't be spending your time on, you get a VA service or use something like Elance or Odesk. But I'd encourage you to go through a VA service because they actually have expertise in finding the right people to get the result you want, and just pay the money because you're worth a lot more than that.
Absolutely. And when you're talking, $5, $6 an hour, that's
Yeah.
not a lot of money.
It's not a lot of money if you're the business owner, and surely you're worth more than that. So,
Yep.
yeah,
You want to hope people are putting a bit higher of a value on themselves.
exactly. And it's just also being aware that you don't have to do everything yourself. Most
Mm.
people aren't aware. It took me a long time. I've only just started realizing that in the last 12 to 18 months when we've had a full time VA to train up and do the tasks that were
Mm.
taking up most of our time and taking us away from growing the business.
Excellent. All right, so outsourcing. On that though, what are the 4 tools that you need to take any business online?
Exactly. So that I don't want people to go out and think I need to buy 1,000 tools to get this moving. Because again, that's a big mistake. One is a Facebook page for your business, because where are your customers spending a lot of time on their phones and the web? On Facebook. So we need to have a presence where we can get their attention. So a Facebook page is number one. The second thing is a CRM software. And you're spoiled for choice. I wouldn't choose an expensive one to start off with. I'd start at something like Mailchimp, something very basic, CRM software that can help you start building a list of customers, something that you can get set up immediately. The next thing is a very basic lead page or landing page for the product or service that you're looking to sell to the marketplace. Because if you use a landing page or lead page, it's going to be very low cost to get that up and have an online presence. And the final thing is a payment processing tool. And the easiest way to get started is PayPal, because it's
Mhm.
free, everyone trusts it, and you can set it up, within 48 hours. So they're the 4 tools that any business that we've worked with in the last 12 months that's been a startup, we've just got them rolling with that till they've got money in their pockets, and then we use the business's money to get, say, a professional website and other things like that in place. But start with those basic 4, and you won't break the bank, and you'll have the online presence that you need to start generating customers through online marketing, which is where you need to market in today's marketplace.
And that can be a pretty big shift for people to realize that a Facebook page, some software to keep track of the people you're accumulating, your customers, your leads, the landing page to actually have people arrive at and present your offer or your service, and then finally a way for them to give you money through PayPal or even Stripe as credit card processing.
Yep, exactly.
It only take how long does it take to actually set all of those things up if you know what
We
you're doing?
we did with the entrepreneur school, and this is going to be a massive organization. It took us less than a day to set up the website. It took probably 2 hours
Hmm.
to get that. Theentrepreneurschool.com, you can go have a look at it and see it's actually a very nice looking website, and that took 2 hours. To set up our CRM took 5 minutes.
Yep.
To set up the Facebook page took 2 minutes. To register for PayPal takes 2 minutes. So this can all be done within a day,
Yep.
basically.
And these systems spend a lot of time making sure that it's easy to set up and that even novice people or tech noobs, as a lot of people call themselves, can log in, figure it out, provided you spend a little bit of time saying, okay, what am I trying to do before I get started? So, because it's very easy to get lost and go
Yes.
down the Facebook hole or the lead pages hole or whatever the case may be. But if you look at that and I'm trying to do 4 things to set up my business, so I've got an A to Z process that people can follow and just go through the process of, okay, I've got a day set aside to get started and set all this up.
Yeah, exactly. So just lock in. In fact, we've got a free training video on how to set all those things up, and we do it live in a workshop, and I put it up on YouTube so people could actually go through and see us do this from scratch. We think we did it with a massage business, so we set the whole business up online in about 60 minutes with all the tools that I just mentioned. And the thing is, these technologies have training videos to show you how to do it, but it's literally, if you can write an email, you can fill in a template, fill in the blanks basically. So it makes it impossible for a newbie almost to not be able to do this themselves
Yep.
in a couple of hours.
That's great, and that it works excellent for new ideas. But you also just mentioned a massage parlor. So if someone's got a traditional business and they're watching this, those same 4 methods are going to be able to to allow them to take what they're already doing onto the internet and figure out a way of attracting new customers that they would never have been exposed to before.
Exactly. And you could get people to that website, that lead page in 10 minutes with a Facebook ad, just as we said before, by just plugging in who is likely to buy a massage and
Yep.
say, I'm going to target people in the local area that my massage business is set up. It's that simple.
All right. So for anyone out there feeling like they don't know where to find customers, there's an answer. All right. Number 9, how can any small business increase sales in the next 7 days?
So in the next 7, the main thing is most people, as I said before, overlook that immediate network. So you want to just go to Facebook and you just want to ask your immediate network in a simple post, say, hey, this is what we're offering. This is the result it's going to get. Comment below if you're interested. If you just do that one thing, I guarantee that you will increase sales in the next 24 hours. We got all my clients to do this in a 60-minute webinar. Just go to Facebook, post this, and we generated $30,000 of new business in 60 minutes just by posting that on Facebook. It's the most simple strategy, takes 1 minute to execute, and that can literally increase your sales today.
Yep. And that, again, that comes down to if you don't ask, you don't get.
Exactly. And if you've got existing customers, you go back and you ask them to rebuy, reorder. And that's the other thing you can do to instantly increase sales. Just send out an email, hey, we've just come out with a new offer. This is what it is. Respond to the email with how many you'd like or click on the button to get access to it. So back to your existing customers, to your immediate network, and bring in some sales right now.
Excellent. All right. And number 10, what is the best piece of advice you have for small business owners?
Get help, because the reason why cash flow is poor, the reason why you're not getting the results that you want is because you don't have the strategy or you're not executing. So you need help. You need someone to show you what to do, or you need someone to make sure you're doing what you know you do. And most people are, I don't want to spend the money on the help, but how much is it really costing you? And that's the challenge. Most people need to shift to go, hang on, my new customers I get are going to pay for this help, not me, because that's what's going to happen. If you get help, you're going to get more customers, and the customers are going to easily outweigh the cost you're spending on the help. So pay for the help, pay for the expertise, save yourself the time, save yourself the headaches, save yourself the costs moving forward.
And for people who perhaps have trouble with that shift of, I don't have the money to pay for help, how can we sort of help them see it in a different perspective of that the person that they're paying for help is going to far outweigh them trying to figure it out and stuff around for 6 months themselves?
Exactly. Well, you need to actually go through an associated cost to your problem. Say, so if you go, how many leads are you missing a day? Okay. How much is the average customer worth to your business? Okay. How much would that be worth over the next month? How much would that be worth over the next year? God, that's quite expensive. Well, how many sales are you missing? And then you attach a real financial cost to the problem so they can justify the expense. So that way, if it's say a $5,000 or $10,000 decision, they know that they're missing $100,000 a year by not solving these problems. So you just need to justify the cost, and then say, hey, let's get your new customers to pay for this help as we go. And that's the best way to shift the mindset around it versus you paying for it yourself. Let's get the new customers to pay for this, not you personally.
Absolutely. And even if people have trouble knowing what numbers to use there, if they took, say, 5 or 10 customers a month, and what are they intending on making as far as profit or time for sale for those 5 to 10, and then push that out over 6 months or 12 months, and that gives them the number that they need to be looking at. Okay, well, this is what it's going to cost me if I don't go and get help.
Exactly. And once you do that, it's a lot easier to make the decision. Most people are focusing on the short-term pain of spending the money for the help versus what it's actually costing them. So if you're working with a proper business consultant that knows what they're talking about, they'll help you be able to justify that cost by going through where you're missing opportunities and leaving money on the table. It's that simple.
Absolutely. All right, that finishes up on our 10 questions, but what would your pro tip for small business owners be?
My pro tip right now would be to simply get very familiar with the Facebook advertising platform. Look at a tool called leadpages.net, because you want a website or a page that's actually optimized to convert, because you can be a really good advertiser, but if you send them to a website that doesn't convert them into an opportunity, you're just throwing money against the wall. So I'd be looking at a tool called Lead Pages. I'd be looking at setting up a Facebook ad to push them to that lead page, and notice the shift in your conversion. That's my pro tip, and what will probably get you the fastest result in your business in the next 7 to 30 days.
Excellent. So people with a brand new idea, people with an existing idea can go and start learning about those 4 points, and they'll be able to really change perhaps their thinking on leveraging the internet for their business.
Exactly. And that's the thing, like the technology is making business easier
Hmm.
because it's reducing our time by making things more efficient, putting more systems in place. The challenge is people who aren't adopting technology, it's making it harder for them because they're becoming overwhelmed and fearful of technology. So you just have to embrace it and know that it's there to serve you and jump on board it as quickly as possible so you get ahead of the marketplace and the competition because you want to be where the ball's going, not fighting for where the ball is with everybody else.
Absolutely. And motivation to get things started for definitely about things changing. I was watching the news the other day. There's a 9-year-old girl and her sister who started a cooking channel on YouTube for kids. And in a couple of years, they've got to a point where they're now making $120,000 a month in ad revenue just for doing something that they love and adopting technology. So definitely motivation to start picking up and spend 60 minutes to figure these things out.
Yeah, if a kid can make that sort of revenue, what's your excuse?
Exactly, exactly. But for people who are perhaps a little bit nervous, or this is all just too new to them and they need a bit of guidance, you've got a special offer for us, don't you?
Exactly. If you want help or you want to diagnose the areas of your business where you're losing money and where you can shift that, we're more than happy just to have a no obligation or obligation free chat with you. So if you go over to timewitharon.com.au, we'll just have a chat on the phone or on Skype and just see where are the gaps in your business and how can we bridge those gaps. So as I said, obligation free. We're here to serve. We're here to help a million business owners through my time on earth avoid becoming a statistic. So timewitharon.com.au and we'll have a chat and we'll find out where are the gaps, how can we improve your business and turn it around in the next 30 days if you know you're missing opportunities and you're missing money or you're overwhelmed with this technology stuff.
Excellent. Thank you, Aaron. That's really, really generous. Guys, we're going to put the link down on the page. So without any further ado, thank you very much, Aaron. We really
Pleasure,
appreciate
mate.
having you, and hopefully we can get you back here again soon.
Can't wait. Thanks, Simon. It was a privilege to have a chat with you today.
Excellent. Cheers, mate. See ya.
Awesome, mate. Bye.